From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, everyone. I'm Jaime Hixson.
And I am goal! I won't do that long.
Your name is Goal?
Yes, because I'm going for the goal.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Goal.
When Croatia is Croatia in the tank, will the semifinals hold up? This is Hector Bosa, the hardest, baddest, sexiest man on cable access TV, asking the hardest questions to one of the smartest guys that I know about sports. France and Belgium. What do you think about the semifinals coming up? A friend of mine was saying that France is arrogant and Belgium that has not made the cup in a long time. What do you say to that?
Well, as far as making the cup in a long time, they've had a history there. It's just that it hasn't been very favorable for them. I'll tell you what, there's no love lost between the two French-speaking countries, Belgium and France. France, of course, has a lot of history, having won the cup in '98. By the way, this is the 20-year anniversary of their last cup victory.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Zinedine Zidane is the head coach of the French squad. As far as Belgium themselves, Belgium has had a very, very strong tournament. France has been strong as well. The one semifinalist, what's that?
Do you think France is arrogant? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but do you think France is an arrogant team like the New York Yankees? Because a friend of mine was comparing them to the Yankees and Brazil.
It's apples and oranges,
because
though.
He was saying that the Yankee fans are arrogant.
No, the Yankee fans are arrogant. The players themselves, they don't really come across as arrogant. Some of them are actually pretty humble guys. Some of them carry that real hard-working lunch pail type of attitude to the ballpark every day. But as far as this semifinal goes, both teams have done really well for themselves so far. I think France has been a little bit stronger with their point of attack. Mm-hmm. And I think this is going to be the reason why the French are going to play for the championship next weekend. Mm-hmm. The one semifinalist that surprised me quite a bit is England. Mm. England has had nothing but heartbreak in past World Cups. It's been over 50 years since their last championship, but now, with really strong goaltending and a really great star player, Harry Kane, who's been leading the way for them, he's been scoring goals by the bunches. This England versus Croatia matchup is going to be a really interesting one to look at. Croatia, of course, came off beating the host country Russia in penalty kicks in what was a really good game between those two.
But did they, according to the paper and some other sports channels, do they have anything in the tank left? Mm-hmm. Because they've been playing so hard. Because it's, there's two different types. Again, a friend of mine, we were talking about soccer, and we was talking about how it's like Olympic hockey in hockey. Mm-hmm. Olympic hockey is finesse.
Yeah.
Whereas the American style is more brawlish because the rink is smaller. Mm-hmm. The same thing with the World Cup. Because it's broader, it's more finesse playing. Whereas in American soccer, according to him, there was more of an attack style, Hail Mary bombs, and let's see if you can get there on time. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering, who do you think has the upper hand, considering some of the doubters here are saying that they're burnt out against England?
Yep. I like France to beat Belgium in one game. The other semifinal, to be quite honest with you, Croatia is really tough. They're more physical. They attack a little bit more, whereas the English, they're relying a little bit more on goaltending and also on Harry Kane to lead the way. I foresee a France versus Croatia championship game, which means England would have to play Belgium for third place. But when you think about it, England's come a long way in the last, I'd say, 15 to 20 years or so. I mean, they've had so many different stars coming out of that program, like David Beckham and also Michael Owen. Most recently, they had Wayne Rooney. Now there's Harry Kane, who probably could be the next great English star.
I'm wondering, they're making a really big thing about Ronaldo going and Messi going.
Yeah.
Messi.
A lot of people are saying this could be the last time that either has a chance to win the cup.
Yeah, but they're going to other teams next year as well. Do you remember the teams that they're going to next year?
As far as Ronaldo and Messi are concerned, I could probably find that out for you right now.
Well, that's happening. I'll tell you this much. On the WNBA, Dallas tops Liberty 97-87.
The Liberty have been a real disappointment this season, mostly because of the long losing streak that they had just recently. And the Liberty are now playing the majority of their home games up in White Plains.
It's a shame.
At the Westchester County Center. They only have 2 home games at the Garden this summer.
I hope that they're getting. That's the problem. Nobody's seeing them. If they were somewhere in a rural place where a lot of people supported them, they'd be playing in the Garden,
Yep.
And WW is so underhanded, man. ROH was going to be in there, and they made a call, and they told them not to go in there.
Yeah.
That's underhanded.
And for the record, Lionel Messi, from what I understand, if I'm not mistaken, I think his last team was FC Barcelona, right?
Yes.
And from what I understand, they may have to pay a good €42.5 million just to keep his rights.
It's a shame that we can't get those guys here, the guys over here in New York. I would imagine those.
Or here in
playing,
this country, for that matter.
Forget that. I want it to be like the Cosmos all over again with Pelé, Cabañas, Giorgio Canaglia.
And if it were to happen, we might not see them until their advanced age.
Just like Beckham. When he came bruised and so on too. But do you know how are the other women NBA basketballs doing?
Right now, the best team in the WNBA at this moment is Seattle. Seattle's got the best team, and it seems like they have a pipeline of UConn players making their way over there. Sue Bird, Breanna Stewart, both of whom won championships with the Huskies many years ago. And now they're putting together a really strong team on the Storm, and there's a strong possibility that they could win another WNBA title. Another team to watch for is the LA Sparks. LA's got some really good young players on that team, and there's a strong possibility that they might bring another championship there.
Do you think that are there any other good teams that you know of? Or those
Minnesota, of course, is the defending champion, and they're still battling it out, trying to win that second straight title.
Now, I'm glad they have this, believe it or not, because I think all sports should be played out.
It's funny that you mentioned the hockey team that made their debut in Vegas.
Las Vegas, yes.
Going to the finals this year. Turns out one of the current teams wound up relocating to Vegas from San Antonio.
Really?
Yep. The former San Antonio Stars relocated to Vegas last winter. They're now known as the Aces, the Las Vegas Aces.
So now there's 2 hockey teams there?
There's a hockey team, and now there's a WNBA team in Vegas.
Oh, good. No, I'm glad. Listen, anytime there's jobs for people, I'm all for it.
And of course, in about 2 or 3 years, the Raiders are going to be going to Vegas.
The Raiders. Oh, damn it! I like the Oakland Raiders. That was best. But let me ask you: is there anything that's shaken in the WNBA? Is there any controversy there?
Any controversy in the WNBA?
Anything that sport comes out to your mind besides them playing well?
aside from them playing well, nothing really going on. I
They
mean,
don't get their just due when it comes to.
and they're also playing in front of some really small crowds. I mean, I mentioned the Liberty before. They've gone from playing in front of 7,000 at the Garden to maybe 1,500 fans.
That's a shame.
At the Westchester County Center.
That's a shame. I'm sure that's a good center, but that's a shame. We should go there.
They only seat about 5,000, but if they can't sell out the Westchester County Center, which is only 5,000 in capacity, then it's probably best that they go back to the Garden. There's got to be a reason why they're playing games in White Plains as opposed to Manhattan.
We should go there. Probably is more expensive. It's probably more expensive.
Or maybe there's some kind of renovation going on at the Garden that I don't know about.
Doesn't want him there anyway. But here's the thing: we're going from basketball to basketball. How is the summer league coming out for you?
I've already seen a couple of games in the summer league. Let me tell you, for as much as I have, what's that?
Has anybody gotten hurt so far?
I know one of the guys wound up fracturing his finger. I think he's going to be out about 6 weeks or so. But let me tell you, for all that I have ripped this team to pieces, the Knicks finally got it right with their draft pick.
Oh, Lord. The big one's coming. Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey. Oh!
He's doing his Red Fox impersonation right now. It's only been 2 games, but Kevin Knox has torn the summer league to pieces already. He's already scored, I think, 22 in one game and 18 in another game.
Man.
And the other draft pick that the Knicks got, Mitchell Robinson, he's averaging in double figures in the summer league as well. So,
and that new kid too, the one they got,
Alonzo Trier,
he's doing very well as well.
They've already given him a 2-way contract, which means that he can actually go back and forth between the big club and their minor league team in Westchester.
Yeah. They got
which, by the way,
players.
plays their home games at the Westchester County Center in White Plains.
They have 16 contract players. They have to get rid of one.
Yep.
How do you? I know individually, they're doing very well individually, but do you see them playing well as a team in the summer league? Again, it's a summer and
the first game they actually played reasonably well. Specifically, Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson looked really aggressive defensively. Second game, just like the first game, Kevin Knox was really attacking the basket off the dribble so much and so vigorously. I think that maybe he could be a kid that the Knicks try and run some plays around.
Man.
Not just for the summer league, but maybe when they have some regular season games coming up, because we don't know what's going to happen with Kristaps Porzingis.
Right.
And I'm hearing more and more rumors about who the Knicks want to target next summer.
Oh, boy.
Not only did I hear Kyrie Irving because of the whole hometown thing,
Right.
I've also heard Jimmy Butler
Right.
of the Timberwolves, because supposedly he's not happy with
What position plays?
Jimmy Butler's a guard.
Okay.
So
Those people I
not
don't
only
know.
that, but he and Kyrie Irving also happen to be really good friends.
They want to play together.
And they've talked about wanting to work together. So if Jimmy Butler and Kyrie Irving were to find themselves in the same backcourt, you put them on the Knicks, maybe they could be taken a little bit more seriously. I've also heard Kevin Durant, although that's a pipe dream right now.
Yeah, that's a pipe dream.
He's
That's a pipe
not
dream.
leaving the Warriors
Yeah.
just for a rebuilding situation. That's not going to happen.
That's true. I agree with you on that. It's a long shot. Yes.
And I've even heard Karl Anthony Towns, who Jimmy Butler is unhappy with on the Timberwolves. Let me tell you, Karl Anthony Towns is exactly what any team that's looking for a void in the middle is looking for.
So he's a center.
He's a center. He's a very aggressive center who can move well with and without the ball. More importantly, he's very, very burly defensively.
Right. Like Mitchell Robertson.
Just like Mitchell Robinson.
He's a lanky son of a gun, but he's only 18, 19 years, so he hasn't filled out. His body hasn't
He
filled out
just
yet.
turned 20 years old.
Exactly.
And he's very, very thin.
Right.
He's only about 215 pounds.
But he hasn't filled out. That's what I'm saying. And then Nikita grew an inch. He was 6'6", now he's 6'7".
He's 6'7" now.
No, he's 6'7". Yeah, he's only 19, now 20.
And now it's gotten to the point where if the Knicks don't want him to be their point guard anymore, make him a shooting guard. Although I worry about his jumper. His jumper needs a lot of work.
Do you know what they were saying in the paper? Mm-hmm. That the Knicks could play the biggest players in the league.
They definitely could play the tallest guys in the league.
Yeah, Kristoff.
Porzingis
at center or forward. Knox. Cantor. Nikita.
Yeah.
And whoever is the other tallest player. Luke instead of...
And Luke Cornett, who's 7 feet tall.
Yeah. That's
a lot of height.
Big-ass team.
I
That's
mean,
worse than the Twin Towers.
I mean, I know that I know that a lot of teams want to go with this guard-oriented style of play, but you can never have too much height. And you always need guys to protect the rim if they're unable to defend.
Question. Out of the guys that you mentioned, who would be the most, at least, if they can get two guys, who do you think they should go after if they're able to get them?
Well, if Kyrie Irving is serious about wanting to play with the Knicks just because he wants to be close to home, he grew up in New Jersey, then go get him. But I will say,
because he's not doing nothing with the Celtics. I mean, he wants to be the best guard in the league. But
he didn't really have a chance to do that much with the Celtics because he was hurt. And that's why I say, buyer beware. He's had 7 years in the NBA. Do you know that he's only played 70 games or more, 74 games in a season just twice? Otherwise, he's only played 50, 55, 60 games because he keeps on getting hurt. So that's why I say, buyer beware. And if he insists on wanting to play here, he needs to learn how to share the ball because he's had a really bad habit of holding the ball on for too long.
Who would be the other player? I mean, besides Kevin Durant, that's a pipe dream for the moment, but who would you consider the center or Jimmy Butler?
Karl Anthony Towns would look really good playing close to home right now.
Because imagine if you had him, Robertson, and Cornett. That's not bad.
Maybe make Luke Cornett a backup center.
Yeah, that's what I mean, a third stringer.
Make Karl Anthony Towns, or as I like to call him, the big cat, because if you see the initials in his first, middle, and last name, they spell cat. So I like to call him the big cat because he's 6'11" or 7 feet tall or so, and he can dominate a game.
When you make up that list,
and I would really like to see Jimmy Butler. It would do the Knicks a lot of justice if they were to at least invite Jimmy Butler in for an interview. And
so Butler and Thompson don't.
Butler, Kyrie Irving. Although I do say buyer beware with Kyrie Irving because he's damaged goods.
I'd rather have Butler and
Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I'd rather have those.
That would be a team that the Knicks would finally be satisfied with, and most importantly, a team that other squads would actually take seriously.
Yeah, I agree.
And it would start or rekindle the territorial rivalries that they had with the Celtics and the Sixers.
And also because LeBron left, they're making a big stink of LeBron leaving. Mm-hmm. Now, in your opinion, is it like Michael Jordan retiring and not coming back? And then the year after he comes back, did he make that much of a difference?
You mean as far as Michael making a difference on a new team?
Yeah. If he
Michael
would've
made
gone to-
zero impact
Because I'm looking
as far
at
as
it-
competitively wise with the Wizards. I mean, he had some really terrific games. I mean, he torched the Nets for 45 one time.
Because what I mean by that is, now that LeBron's in the LA Lakers, do you think that they're going to be? Do you think he's going to pull some guys in?
Apparently, he already has. I mean, he's pulled in Lance Stevenson. He's pulled in Rajon Rondo. He's also pulled in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And also, they wound up stealing one of the guys from the Warriors, JaVale McGee.
And LeVar Ball.
He's irrelevant now. LeVar Ball and Lonzo Ball are completely irrelevant now that LeBron is here. And you asked before,
Yes.
why did LeBron James consider the Lakers or choose the Lakers as his next place to try and win a championship? There's a lot of people that don't know. Number one, it's the Lakers. 16 NBA titles. One Hall of Famer after another that has suited up with that roster, either imported or through the draft. Countless movie stars and other celebrities going to first the Great Western Forum, now the Staples Center, to see them play. That's number one. Number two, Magic and LeBron had a really important 3-hour meeting that they had with each other. And Magic laid the groundwork of what he was expecting from LeBron and also what kind of vision Magic has for this current Laker roster. He wants to build a more defensive-oriented team, which is not something that LeBron necessarily had when he played for the Cavaliers. He didn't really have that many defensive stoppers, unless you count the guy that used to play for the Knicks, which was Iman Shumpert, who, by the way, is now on the Kings. He wanted a more defensive-oriented squad on the Lakers. And also, he wants LeBron to be able to carry out and fulfill every other opportunity that he has in LA that he may not be able to get someplace else. For example, carry out his movie production company, which is Spring Hill Entertainment. They've already done quite a few movies, for one. For another, get his oldest son enrolled in school. Another thing is carry out some other business interests that LeBron has on the side. Most importantly, he wants to be able to invite maybe a few more superstars to try and build a real contender with. LeBron has already, by himself, has made the Lakers a contender. Now, next summer, there's going to be a really attractive list of free agents. One other guy who might be a free agent if he decides to opt out of his contract is Kevin Love. Kevin Love has connections to Los Angeles because, for one, his father was born and raised in LA, and two, he played briefly with the Lakers. And Kevin Love was born close to Los Angeles in Santa Monica, California, before he moved up north to Oregon. Kevin Love also played at UCLA for a year. Kevin Love still has a lot of ties to Southern California, so that might be another thing. Have LeBron be a tool to attract some guys that he once worked with, or he might want to work with, to make their way into Los Angeles. They've got a lot of plans for the Lakers down the road.
Is it LeBron's team or is it Magic's team?
It's still Magic's team.
Or is it the coach's team, Luke's team? Because,
if you mean Luke Walton?
Right, because, whenever LeBron says, I want another guy, they'll go heaven on earth to get like the Cavaliers. That was LeBron's team.
Do you know there's already Phil Jackson returning to the Lakers rumors?
I can see it happen.
Me too.
I could see it happen. What type of thing he's going to do? Because if he did anything to what he did to the Knicks, they always tell him what he did with the Knicks. He's
no triangle offense, please. No, that thing is such a thing of the past.
But what I'm saying is it LeBron's team? Will they jump every time he says how high? Or will Magic go and say, hey, buddy, you got 4 years contract. You have to do what we have to tell you to do. And we're going to give you the help that we need.
I think Magic is going to be able to naturally put in his 2 cents worth to LeBron and let him know maybe there comes a time when he should not have to overstep his bounds. That's number one.
Because I thought in Cleveland he did.
Oh, without question.
I'm not.
I mean, why do you think he wound up getting David Blatt fired?
I'm not behind the lines to do that. But
just to give you an idea, during a playoff game, LeBron actually overruled a play that David Blatt had designed, and LeBron literally, not even using a chalkboard, literally put together a play of his own. And what did that play involve? Him taking the game-winning shot. And you know what the result was? The Cavaliers won against the Bulls.
I'd like for you to get a list of all the teams, and we go over it. We go over it team by team like we did with the Yankees. Mm-hmm. That would be great because you have very good knowledge of everything.
Oh, and speaking of which,
too, because the new Brooklyn Nets, they're not bad off either. Everybody's creating all this humongous salary cap.
Yeah.
But will they play for the Nets? That's the whole thing. That's another team that is.
That's going to be a problem for Brooklyn because Brooklyn has not had the best image, business-wise and basketball-wise.
As bad as the Knicks have been, with that blasted devil, like you call him, James Dolan, the Nets have been worse. They've always played second fiddle to the Nets.
Going back 50 years, the Nets have been second fiddle to the Knicks. The only thing that's changed right now is the fact that both teams are within the 5 boroughs.
Yeah.
The Knicks, of course, have called Manhattan home since the very beginning. The Nets are in Brooklyn for 6 years now. But again, convincing other free agents to want to make their way to Brooklyn is going to be a major problem because the Nets just don't have the history that some of these other teams do. At least they're building with some really nice young players.
Right.
And it was interesting. They decided to go the European route through the draft. They drafted 2 European kids, 1 in each round. And interestingly enough, they decided not to invite these kids to the Summer League, deciding instead to let them sit down for a bit before they were to take in some action. So now the Nets are going with last year's number 1 pick, which was Jared Allen, who had a really nice rookie season, and also bring in a whole bunch of other guys to compete in the Summer League right now. You mentioned going through some of the teams. We could probably go through them in alphabetical order if you want.
You know this Thailand thing?
That's been a major story all over the world. In case you haven't been watching.
This is a sports thing, too, because they're soccer players, right?
Mm-hmm. This is an entire soccer team.
And this is the second time that's happened, not the first.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been in Thailand the second time and Costa Rica the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In this case, it's
if I remember correctly,
a dozen kids that form a team that form a team wound up getting trapped inside a cave in Thailand. Fortunately, they've rescued 4 of the 12 boys.
By going underwater, scuba diving.
They want to get all of these kids out of that cave before a major storm hits and the cave winds up getting flooded.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a Navy SEAL.
In this one or in the first one?
In Thailand.
In Thailand.
A Navy SEAL in Thailand wound up giving his life trying to save these kids. And right now, it's just a matter of time. And I hate to say this, but time might be running short. They have to get these kids out of there.
Well, they got.
Do you know these kids that have been asking for World Cup updates?
I don't blame them.
While they've been trapped in this cave. Give them some credit for being courageous. in the face of danger.
Because look at it this way: the first team that went in there, and they were trapped for 2 weeks too. It's how do these guys get trapped is beyond me, first of all. And it's always in watery caves, but better watery because you can always go underneath and go scuba diving. I don't know what's the situation there, but it's an amazing feat. I hope everybody goes well and gets out of there well and so on, because it's a heartbreaking thing to see when it's bad enough that immigration's taking kids away from people, but now you see this as well.
Yeah.
And this is just as bad. Kids are being, taken away due to weather or whatever else that's going along. I'm just trying to see something. The Yankees lost to Boston. Baltimore beat Yankees, by the way, for those people that don't know right now.
Right now the Yankees are in the middle of a break in between games of a doubleheader. Unfortunately, the Orioles won the first game against the Yankees 5-4. The second game is coming up. The Mets are playing a doubleheader of their own. They're playing the Phillies in game one, and they're in extra innings right now.
Well, you do that, and I'm looking for something right now. Hold on.
Speaking of taking swings of the bat, let's check out what's going on in the softball circuit here on the island.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Well, as it turns out, the girls from Great Kills wound up winning in a Section 3 tournament game, 11-0 over Greenwich Village. So they're going to host the District 27 champion any moment now. And let's say congratulations to those girls from Great Kills for a job well done. Madeline Lanza had 4 RBIs. Juliana Bland had 3 hits. Bianca Bursler had an RBI. Christina Silver had an RBI. Emily Rizzo had 2 RBIs, while Leanna Chow and Anna Cunningham each had 2 hits. So Great Killers is going to play for... They're going to be playing the District 27 champion tonight. Hopefully the girls from Great Kills will be able to take this all the way to a championship of their own.
Yes, I hope so too, because we need some excitement. Those soccer and baseball, they fill up quick.
Yeah.
They fill up really good, and I'm going, boy, I wish they would get a lot of attention that way. That'd be good. You know what? You said you wanted to go. Let's go. Let's talk a little hockey and UFC before we do the basketball. Did you know that DC, I forgot his last name, he won he's 39 years old.
Right. Daniel Cormier you're talking about.
Yeah, and he actually called out Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar pushed him and said that I'm not going to use his phrases, but he said that all the heavyweights that he's seen are garbage. So be prepared to see him come back and back to the UFC. Imagine if he had Paul Heyman as his rep. That would be great. If he went to the UFC and had Paul Heyman as his rep, that would be great. Yep. And the Los Angeles, the Vegas people, the hockey team, they signed a big contract player too. Who they sign again?
I'm going to try and find that out for you right now. They just started free agency at the exact same time that the NBA did. Now, as far as who the Golden Knights have signed, I'm going to try and get this right now for you.
There was this one guy that they signed that's supposed to be very good.
Here we are. They actually signed quite a few guys. Nick Holden, Paul Stastny, Ryan Reeves also signed with them.
Right.
Colin Miller and Oscar Dansk all got major contracts with the Golden Knights.
Now, let's go Baseball. Otherwise, the Yankees are 2 behind Boston at this pace and time.
Speaking of the Yankees,
that's a lot. And they wanted to go after J Happ.
Yeah, and they went up against J Happ over the weekend, and they wound up beating his brains in and defeating him over the weekend.
Yeah,
and then the Yankees took the rubber game yesterday from the Blue Jays.
I take a lot of rubbers, but that's I carry a lot of them too. But should they go after him?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, J Happ's a really proven pitcher in the game. What are the Yankees going to give up, though? And what do the Blue Jays want? Because my guess is that the Blue Jays are going to ask for some major league ready prospects / veterans, or maybe some prospects that they might want to groom for themselves down the road.
Do you think the Montreal Expos will ever come back?
I would love to see the Expos come back. It's funny you mentioned that because I saw a little kid eating ice cream up in the seats yesterday. He had a Blue Jays jersey and an Expos baseball cap on.
A lot of good players came from there too.
Mm-hmm.
But
they had.
Oh, Mets beat Phillies 4-3.
Good for them. And for the record, I'm going to see exactly how this happened. They wound up winning in the bottom of the 10th.
Yeah, they went into extra innings. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But what?
Turns out Wilmer Flores wound up hitting a sacrifice fly to win the game.
Wilmer. Yes,
it's been such a disaster for the Mets this season. If it's not them going into a hitting slump, it's the pitchers not getting any run support. If it's not getting any run support, the pitchers are just dreadful. The major problem for the Mets is the bullpen. The bullpen has been a cruel joke. Secondly, they have not been able to hit the side of a barn this season. Plus, a whole bunch of guys have gone in and out of the lineup because of injuries. Now, Jay Bruce is on the disabled list. Yoenis Cespedes, we don't know when he's going to be coming back from the disabled list. Todd Frazier is on the disabled list as well. There still are rumors involving Jacob deGrom and Noah Syndergaard as far as whether they're going to get traded or not. The only bright side for their season is that Jacob deGrom wound up making the All-Star game.
Do you have the list for the All-Star team?
I do, as a matter of fact. Let's go to that right now.
Because so far I know that for catcher, Wilson Ramos from Tampa Bay. Second base is Jose Altuve. Houston. A lot of Jose's. Like, Jose, can you see?
Jose, can you see these guys make the All-Star team?
Third base, Jose Ramirez. Cleveland, Manny Machado, Baltimore. Outfield, Mookie Betts.
Who's from the Red Sox. Mookie Betts right now is the best player in baseball. You can talk about Mike Trout.
Los Angeles.
Yep, Mike Trout or Bryce Harper, all you want, but Mookie Betts has a lot to say about that. I think he's the best player in baseball right now because, for one, he's the best contact hitter and he's the best defensive player.
Aaron, let me see, what is it? Oh, Aaron Judd from the New York Yankees. Designated hitter, J.D. Martinez from Boston.
Yep. He's another guy who's had a tremendous season for the Sox.
Would you like to call the pitchers for the American League? They're right here.
Yeah, the pitchers consists of Trevor Bauer of the Indians, Jose Berrios, who's from the Twins, Garrett Cole from the Astros. There's also Edwin Diaz from the Mariners, Joe Jimenez from the Tigers, Craig Kimbrell from the Red Sox, Corey Kluber from the Indians, and Luis Severino from the Yankees. Also Blake Trinan from the Athletics, and Justin Verlander from the Astros. And those are just the right-handed pitchers. The lefties, Aroldis Chapman, who's from the Yankees, J Happ from the Blue Jays.
Back from his hurt because he got hurt. Nobody knows how so far.
Aroldis Chapman from the Yankees, J Happ from the Blue Jays, and Chris Sale from the Red Sox. And the reserves, Salvador Perez from the Royals, I should say. I almost said the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know why. Mitch Moreland from the Red Sox, Gleyber Torres from the Yankees, Alex Bregman from the Astros, Francisco Lindor, who's from the Indians, Michael Brantley from the Indians, Shin Soo Choo, who's from the Texas Rangers, Mitch Haniger from the Mariners, and George Springer from the Astros. And you mentioned before, Nelson Cruz is going to be the designated hitter. He's from the Mariners.
Right.
As far as the National League,
Go ahead, knock him out.
Freddie Freeman from the Braves at first, Javier Baez from the Cubs at second, Brandon Crawford from the Giants at short, Nolan Arenado from the Rockies is at third. And the outfield consists of Nick Markakis of the Braves, Matt Kemp from the Dodgers, and Bryce Harper from the Nationals. And the pitcher is going to, the starting pitcher is going to be determined, I'd say, the day before the All-Star game. But the starting catcher, Wilson Contreras from the Chicago Cubs. And as far as who the pitchers are going to be, we mentioned DeGrom.
Right.
There's also
Which he deserves. Mm-hmm. He deserves.
He's been their best pitcher this season. The record just does not show it, though.
No records. No run support. But
Mike Foltynewicz from the Braves, Kenley Jansen from the Dodgers, Miles Mikolas, who's from the St. Louis Cardinals, Aaron Nola, who's from the Phillies, and Max Scherzer, who's from the Nationals. And those are just the righties. The lefties are Patrick Corbin from the Diamondbacks, Sean Doolittle from the Nationals, Josh Hader from the Brewers, Brad Hand, another guy who's involved in trade rumors. He's from the Padres, John Lester of the Cubs, and Felipe Vasquez from the Pirates. As far as the reserves, Buster Posey and JT Realmuto. Posey's from the Giants, Realmuto's from the Marlins. Paul Goldschmidt of the Diamondbacks, Joey Votto of the Reds, Ozzie Albies of the Braves, Scooter Gennett from the Reds, Eugenio Suarez from the Reds, Trevor Story from the Rockies, Charlie Blackmon from the Rockies, Lorenzo Cain and Christian Yelich, who are from the Brewers. And going for that final vote, Jesus Aguilar, Brandon Belt, Matt Carpenter, Max Muncy, and Trey Turner. And that is your American and National League All-Star squads.
And Robinson Cano apologizes to fans and teams for 80-game ban.
Too little, too late.
He said his father gave him the drink. He didn't know what he was drinking.
Yeah, but how long has this been going on?
Listen.
One other thing. This year's All-Star game is going to be played in Washington, D.C.
Oh, American League rules?
National League rules.
National League rules. Now, let me ask you.
Although they will have a designated hitter. The American League is going to use the designated hitter. The National League, they're going to have the pitcher hit.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But, how is it used to be? If you play in the National League, the pitcher used to hit.
Mm-hmm.
And the American League players, if you win American League,
you had to have a designated hitter on each side.
But do you think that them dropping, if whoever wins the last World Series, the team, the American League or the national team that wins gets to have home field advantage?
I thought it was a stupid gimmick in the beginning, and it's about time that they decided to drop it. Just let the team that has the best record in baseball have home field advantage for the entire Major League playoffs.
I think this is better, though, than the basketball, because they'll try harder. Because when it comes to hockey, football's a joke. Mm-hmm. When it comes to their all-stars, that's a joke. Baseball is the only one that I'll say that they try a little harder to play than. What is your opinion?
My opinion is these guys are going to play hard regardless because there's a lot of pride between these two sides.
But out of the teams that I've mentioned, do you think that baseball is one of the hardest playing? They play the hardest.
Without question.
Because
absolutely
in the NFL, they don't want to get themselves hurt. Mm-hmm. In basketball, you see 100.
Although some guys really put their bodies on the line with no regard of their own health.
But then they get they get bad mouth for playing hard. Mm-hmm. Then basketball, you get 134, over 134 points.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going.
And there's no defense whatsoever.
Unless it's the last quarter and you're down by 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's when they start playing D.
Next thing you know, there's going to be a 200-point game one day.
Exactly. And I think back then they used to play for pride and so forth. Now they don't even play for pride.
Yeah.
The American, like I said, who do you think's going to win, by the way? Who do you think has the better shot at winning?
To be honest with you, I really like the American League because I think they have the better sluggers. Although
Hitting over pitching or pitching?
hitting over pitching by far. The American League has much better sluggers. National League, I think, has slightly better pitching, although that's saying a lot considering the American League has Severino and Chris Sale and Corey Kluber and so many other solid pitchers.
Also, the rumor is the Dodgers may go after Manny Machado.
That's the hottest rumor that's going on right now. The only thing is, what will the Dodgers give up to satisfy the Orioles' demands?
That's going to be a tough thing to do. But okay, let's go down the list for a moment. This is for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
In alphabetical order. Atlanta Hawks.
Atlanta's in rebuilding mode. They do have a really good point guard of the future, Trey Burke. And I saw him play,
Against
just
the
so
Knicks,
happened
yeah.
to be against the Knicks. He was launching one shot after another. He finished, I think, 3 for 11 from the field. Doesn't sound like much, but it just goes to show you that he really was looking for his shot. At the same time, he was making these dimes. He was dropping these dimes that were just unreal. He had a defender on him, and Burke was trying to go up for a layup. He goes right behind the defender.
Yeah, that was a good pass.
For a bounce pass, a behind-the-back bounce pass in the air. He's going to be a really good player.
Okay, Boston Celtics. Did they improve or no?
Yes, without question. I think that they got the one center that they could really use, Robert Williams, when they drafted him out of Texas A&M. With or without Kyrie Irving, although I say with because they still need a point guard that can really break down the defense. The Celtics are one of the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference right now, along with the Sixers.
Charlotte Hornets.
Charlotte is a lost cause right now. They don't know what they're going to do with Kemba Walker. That's another kid who's going to be a free agent coming next year. And that's another kid who's rumored to probably be in a Knicks uniform. If you were to ask me right now, if I would rather have Kyrie Irving or Kemba Walker, I'd much rather take Kemba Walker because, for one, Kemba Walker is more durable. Kyrie Irving is a medical liability who I just cannot count upon to suit up for a game, much less participate in the game.
Who's more of a defensive liability?
Oh, Kyrie Irving is much worse defensively.
Oh, okay.
For one, his height gets exposed badly in matchups.
I thought Kemba Walker was smaller than...
If I'm not mistaken, I think Kemba Walker and Kyrie Irving might be the same exact height.
Kyrie Irving's taller.
I could probably check that out for you.
But all in all, you would pick Kyrie Irving.
I would definitely pick
because of health issues.
I would definitely pick Kemba Walker over Kyrie Irving.
Now, Charlotte Hornets, what direction and who do they pick?
Well, for the record, Kyrie Irving is 6'3", and Kemba Walker is all of 6'1". So 2 inches separate the two. As far as who the Charlotte Hornets wound up picking, I can probably pick that for you right now.
Because that's why...
Miles Bridges. They got the kid from Michigan State, Miles Bridges.
So you're saying that even with him being there, it's still on a rebuilding stage, or they don't know where to go with veterans?
They don't know what they want to do. And you consider Michael Jordan is still running things over there. It's not like they don't have any players. The young players that they have are good.
Right.
They just drafted Miles Bridges. Then there's last year's number 1 pick, Malik Monk, who disappointed quite a bit for them last year. Now he's in this year's summer league to try and fine-tune his game. And there's also Jeremy Lamb, who's another pretty decent player. Devontae Graham, who they also drafted in the second round. They've become very, very guard-centric right now.
Chicago Bulls, up or down? Tell me.
Way down. The Bulls have a lot of work that they have to do in order to try and improve things. Of course, they do have some pretty decent young players of their own.
Right.
Ryan Arcidiacono, who won a title at Villanova. Chris Dunn also. Now they just signed Sean Kilpatrick. Zach LaVine, they just matched an offer sheet for.
Right.
He wound up signing an offer sheet with the Sacramento Kings, and they wound up bringing him back.
For 1 year, right?
4 years.
Oh, 4 years. Okay.
4 years, $37 million.
Dallas Mavericks.
Dallas might be building a real contender down the road. Not necessarily right now, but down the road, they're going to be building with some really good young players. Of course, last year's rookie, Dennis Smith Jr., had an amazing season for them. Now, they wound up getting Luka Doncic, a wingman who could really light up the scoreboard from downtown. And there's also Jalen Brunson, who they got from Villanova. They wound up drafting one of the Antetokounmpo brothers.
Oh.
He's Giannis Antetokounmpo's younger brother, Kostas.
Wow.
You probably don't know this, but there are 5 brothers in the Antetokounmpo family. There's Giannis, who's with the Bucks, of course. There's Thanasis, who played 1 game with the Knicks, but is now back in Greece playing pro ball. There's Kostas, who wound up getting drafted by the Mavericks. They have another brother who plays soccer. He's a soccer player in Europe. He was the only brother that wound up going rogue. As far as the Mavericks are concerned, they're in the right direction simply because they're building with some really good young kids that are going to be able to help them out. And Dirk Nowitzki is going to be back for his 21st season.
Denver Nuggets. Quick.
Denver is a team that is built to win now. Not only did they draft Michael Porter Jr., which was a very, very gutsy call on their part.
Well, there was nobody left down there when you get to that.
They're also building with kids like Jamal Murray, who was an all-star, Trey Lyles, Tyler Lydon, who was a recent number 1 draft pick. They also brought back Nikola Jokic. They gave him a brand new deal.
Right.
There's still the issue of what they're going to do with Kenneth Faried. Are they going to trade him? Are they going to give him a long-term contract? A kid like him, I would definitely bring back for down the road because he's added a lot of hustle and a lot of great defense for them.
Detroit Pistons.
Pistons are another team that's going to be looking to try and win now. They made the big trade to get Blake Griffin, and he wound up being not necessarily a disappointment, but the Pistons wound up really falling flat down the stretch of last season. But now
They get a good ball player.
they wound up drafting Bruce Brown, and they also brought in Jose Calderon to provide some veteran leadership at the point. And they're building with some pretty decent young players as well. Stanley Johnson, of course, Luke Kennard, the kid that we mentioned, also last year's number 1 pick, Henry Ellenson, who had a pretty okay season at best. And now that they drafted Bruce Brown, they're going to be looking to try and take that 7th or 8th, maybe 6th spot in the Eastern Conference.
Houston Rockets. We got to go quick.
Houston wants to win now. There's rumors of them maybe signing Carmelo Anthony. And they just re-signed Chris Paul. They're going to be a team to watch.
The Indiana Pacers.
Indiana's another team that is going to look to win now. Victor Oladipo right now has emerged as their best player. They might be the 4th best team, maybe the 3rd best team in the East right now.
Carmelo Anthony.
Yep.
Good guy playing with Mike D'Antoni, who didn't get along with him in the first place. Oh, boy.
There's also Carmelo Anthony to the Lakers rumors.
Yeah, I can see that better because LeBron wants him. But Los Angeles Lakers, speaking of
Now
the
that they
Lakers,
have LeBron, they're thinking title.
Memphis Grizzlies
Major rebuilding job for them.
with good play, but they got good draft picks, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Miami Heat.
Miami's a team that is not necessarily rebuilding yet. They want to be able to have enough young players where they want to be able to build a contender down the road. And they surprised a lot of people last year. Oh, and then going back on the Grizzlies, they also drafted Jaren Jackson Jr., and he's already proven to be a really tough kid to go up against in the Summer League.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Milwaukee's got one of the best players in the game, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who we already mentioned. And they also have quite a few good supporting role players that they can go to as well.
Minnesota Timberwolves.
Minnesota's a team that really surprised a lot of people making the playoffs last year. But what's going to be of the Big Cat and also Jimmy Butler?
The New Orleans Pelicans. That's a team.
Yep. The Pelicans wound up losing DeMarcus Cousins, but I'll tell you right now, that's not much of a loss because the Cousins was a medical liability. He wound up tearing his Achilles tendon. Now they can build a team around Anthony Davis.
Oh, our favorite team, the New York Knicks. Damian Dotson, how did he do? Those guys are doing very well. You got to give them credit. Dotson,
at
all
the
them
same time,
guys are doing very well.
Yeah, Dotson and also Frank Ntilikina were brought back to play in the Summer League for the second straight year. Overall, they're not doing terribly. It's just a couple of games, but Frank Ntilikina really needs to work on his jump shot.
The only thing I don't like is when what's that kid's name? Murphy? Not Murphy. Who do they have as guards again? I forgot.
Well, there's Trey Burke. There's also
Trey Burke. I'm surprised he's not in the
Jarrett
Summer
Jack.
League. Jarrett Jack, I think he's gone. But the other, Emmanuel Mudiay, I'm surprised.
Emmanuel Mudiay as well.
Considering he did bad and was out of shape, he should be in there himself because he's still a young guy. I don't know why he's not playing in the Summer League to get in shape. Oklahoma City Thunder.
Well,
And Mitch
now that
Robinson, fantastic play. So they do have good players. So they're up and coming. Will they?
As for OKC, now that Carmelo Anthony is gone and Paul George has re-signed for the next 4 years, they're going to look to contend with George and Russell Westbrook.
Orlando Magic.
Orlando is a team that is building with some really good young players. Let's see exactly what happens with them.
Philly 76ers.
Second best team in the East right now after the Celtics, and they're building with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz, who I think still has a chance to be a really good player in this game. And they also re-signed J.J. Redick.
Boy, there's nothing goes wrong in this place.
Phoenix building with a plethora of young kids, including the number 1 draft pick, DeAndre Ayton, and also Mikal Bridges.
Portland Trailblazers.
Portland, still decent, but not in championship mode.
Sacramento Kings.
A lot of good young players, but they cannot find their own way.
San Antonio Spurs.
Still dangerous, but now they lost Tony Parker to the Hornets.
Toronto Raptors.
Toronto's still dangerous, but not necessarily in championship mode.
Utah Jazz.
Utah is a team to really, really watch for.
And Washington Wizards.
Washington's a team to watch for, but not necessarily in championship mode.
And, sir, we have completed the NBA.
Yes, we have.
Should we see you next Monday?
Yes, we
with
should.
With hockey. Next
yes.
time we'll do hockey, and the next week after we'll do football the same way.
There you go.
That?
There you go.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. So,
thanks to Kenny Graham on the other side of the glass.
And thanks to me, Hector Bosa, the hardest bad sexy man of cable access to me. This is Hector Bosa.
And I'm Jaime. Enjoy the games, folks. Good night.
Enjoy All-Star Weekend.